welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing another one of those incoherent book babble things about a book that I've recently finished. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to do a book babble on this book because everyone and their mum has read it, and I feel like I'm very late to the party with this one, and I feel like all opinions that could be made have probably already been made, but nonetheless I'm gonna throw mine out into the internet as well. But the book that I've recently finished that I'm going to be chatting with you about today is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I haven't read the rest of the series yet. I hope to very soon. I'm just gonna get to it with talking about this one because I had a fair few issues with this book, but at the same time I did really enjoy it. I'm a bit conflicted. Meh. I really enjoyed the book. I am excited about reading the rest of them. I did like the characters, but I had lots of issues with the characters. I don't really know where to start, to be honest. I suppose telling you what it's about if you don't already know. So if you've been living under a rock and don't know what Throne of Glass is about, it's about an assassin who is chosen to compete in a competition to become the king's champion, and the king's champion basically becomes the king's assassin. So she was an assassin, she was captured, sent to work in the mines where they're surprised she survived, and then the prince chooses her to enter this competition for the king. Pretty much that's all this book's about. Selena, obviously, is the assassin, the main character, Selena Sarathian, and I had plenty of issues with her character. First up, she was annoying as hell. Like, really annoying. Some of the things she said and did just seemed completely irrational and irrelevant to me, and I suppose part of her irrational thinking could be because of the way she was treated in the mines and stuff, but I don't think that excuses some of the just weird stuff that she did. She was definitely kind of like a kick-ass female character, which is always good to read about. She was very sassy, she had a lot of attitude, she kind of put the men in their place, which is great and all that, but at the same time she was just a bit whiny and bitchy, and I'm not cool with that, really. I didn't think it was relevant or needed. She didn't need to have that character trait at all. But it is the first book, so I'm hoping that throughout the series there's plenty of room for development within her character, and the reason she was so whiny and stuff in this one is because she is only 18, so she's only a teenager. There's plenty of room for her to develop in future, and maybe that's what happens with her. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with her anyway, because she really did annoy me in this book. But at the same time I did enjoy her character because obviously she's the main character and I'm rooting for her. But yeah, conflicted. I really didn't find it appealing how much emphasis she kept putting on about how beautiful she used to be and how beautiful she wanted to be again. Like, I didn't like that. Moving on. Let's just continue talking about characters. Kale? He was slightly better, but also kind of annoying. I found him to be a bit of an emotionless drab, and I think that was the main part of his character. He was supposed to be this sort of blank nothing, because that's kind of what I got from him. I did kind of like how he came out of his shell more towards the end, and the small bits that you kind of saw from his perspective as well were nice. That showed that he did have a little bit more depth to him. It really annoyed me how he never, or it seemed that he never trusted Selena at all. Like, she had proven herself, I think, halfway through this book, she'd kind of proven that no, she's not going to kill anyone, don't worry, but he never trusted her, and I think that annoyed me a lot because it was very evident that she wasn't going to try anything and she was just going to try and win this competition, and I don't think he needed to be as funny about it as he was. Moving on to the next character, Dorian. Another one that I liked but found annoying. You'll be noticing a trend here. That's kind of how I felt about most characters. He came across to me as just a massive sappy idiot. I'm not really sure why I didn't like him, because I got, like, he had feelings for Selena, lovely jubbly, but he just didn't go about it the right way to me. He kind of acted as if he was entitled to her because he was a prince or something, but I don't know. And it also seemed a bit like the only reason he was so interested in her is because she's the only female he'd ever been exposed to that wasn't like royalty or a duchess or something. So it seemed like the only reason he was really that interested in her is because he wasn't allowed her. She was like some forbidden female. I don't know. I didn't like that either. But again, hopefully room for development there because he is still only young as well. Who knows what's gonna happen. But yeah, I liked him, didn't like him. I was conflicted, as I was with most characters in these books, to be honest. Another character that I found so annoying, probably the most annoying character from this book, is Calton? I'm not sure how you pronounce her name at all. I was calling her Caitlin because I couldn't pronounce it, so I just called her Caitlin. It's K-A-L-T-A-I-N. Calton? I don't know how you pronounce that, but I'm gonna keep calling her Caitlin because that's what I was calling her throughout the book. She was just the worst. What? I understand later she was like under the influence of Duke Parrington and stuff, but still, she just needs to leave. Which I suppose she did at the end, but I have a feeling she's coming back. But no, I didn't like her at all. Everything about her annoyed me. The way she held herself, the way she spoke, her importance to the narrative, everything about her annoyed me. Next, Kane. Also, stupid, annoying character. I understand he was like the big brutish man that was supposed to beat everyone in this competition. But then that thing that happened later, that I'm not going to say in case you for some reason haven't read this book, just popped up out of nowhere. Like, I don't understand why it was him. I think it would have made much more sense to have been other people, but it was him. And in a way I understand it, but I also kind of don't, because it just popped up out of nowhere. And it wasn't, I don't know, it didn't seem relevant, because even from the start he was this like strong brutish man, so it didn't seem like it needed to be him. Do you know what I mean? If you've read it, you might know what I mean. If you haven't read it, you'll be confused. I didn't like him, but I don't think you were supposed to like him, so that's okay. And another character that I did actually like, I didn't have many issues with this character, other than the fact that we didn't get to see more of him, and that was Nox, because Selena and Nox kind of developed that little bit of a friendship, and she was helping him, and you know, they kind of had that little bit of an alliance. And I liked him, and I liked the friendship that they formed, but you never really got to find out a lot about him. He was never a very important character. So I would have liked to know more about him, but I'm guessing he's totally out of the picture now. And finally, the last character that I'm going to babble on about is Nehemia? However you pronounce her name. I'm going to go with Nehemia because I think that sounds most like it would be correct. She, I think, was my absolute favourite character from this book. She was the only character that I didn't have any issues with, that I actually enjoyed the presence of. Her dialogue didn't irritate me, her little backstory was great, and I'm very excited to see more of her. I really loved the role she played in Selena's life and that sort of female friendship, which I think was really needed with Selena. Otherwise, I think I would have disliked her a lot more. I think Nehemia kind of brought out the best in Selena, and the friendship they had was probably the only thing in this book that brought me pure joy. I did really, really enjoy her whole part, and I need to know more about her because if you've read this book, I think there's so much mystery around her and I want to know more. Also, I really love the fact that she is a princess that supports the rebels, and that's just so right, I think is the word I want to go for. That's just such a good thing. Now I've had a complete character ramble about all of the characters that I found at least slightly something to talk about. I'll talk about something else. I know I said I enjoyed the book. Obviously this is the first book in the Throne of Glass series, and it was released a long time ago now. I don't know when this book was actually published. Let me Google it. Publication date, 7th of August 2012. So what is it now? 2017? I don't know, let's go for 2016 though. So 12 to 16, that's 4 years. So the other book that I would compare this to by Sarah J Maas, because it's my other read Sarah J Maas book, would be A Court of Mist and Fury. And I don't think that's a fair comparison at all, because the writing style between this and that is so different, because I think Sarah probably matured and progressed with her writing a lot, and you can tell that this was written such a long time previous. I think I heard that she did her first draft of this when she was only like 16 or 17, and I think in a way that does come through a bit. There is that kind of slightly more childish element to it. I mean, it's not a childish book at all. There is obviously mature content in there. Not like mature, not like A Court of Mist and Fury mature, but like murder and stuff. It's not a childish book, but you can tell that it was written when she was younger than when she wrote the A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Thorns and Roses thing. Although I was making that comparison, I don't think that's a fair comparison, because it's almost like it was written by two different people because of such a difference in maturity for her, I think. Nonetheless though, I did enjoy the book. I am excited to continue with the series. I do want to know more about Selena and Kale and Dorian and Nehemia and not really anyone else, to be honest. I don't care about many other characters. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I will keep reading it. I'm not gonna do a spoilery part because I don't think there's any point to that. I just had issues with the characters. The writing style was not as good as A Court of Mist and Fury, but I think that's because of the age difference, and I think as the series progresses, because obviously Empire of Storms was released last year, so I think her writing style will progress with the book, so the more recent ones I think are going to be a lot better than this one was, which excites me as well, which is kind of fueling me more to keep going with it, because I would want to read them, and I think I will enjoy the later ones more than I enjoyed this one, because as an author she will have progressed. I think that's all of my thoughts on this. Oh, I do also want to know more about the bit with Eleanor. That whole storyline I think is gonna wind out into something totally different. So that's something else that I want to discover as I keep reading. I enjoyed it. If you haven't read it for some obscure reason, I would recommend that you do, because it is a good book. I did enjoy the storyline and I am excited to keep going, but there were just some issues, I think, because of the order I read it in. I think maybe if I had read this before I read the A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury, then maybe I would have appreciated the writing style more, but I think because I know the capabilities of Sarah J Maas with A Court of Mist and Fury, I was kind of expecting a bit more from it, but also not because I knew of the age difference. So if we ignore that whole thing, then if you haven't read it, I do recommend it. Storyline is great, can't wait to keep going. Although I had character issues, I think there is room for development with all of them. And Finn. I'm gonna stop there because I will just keep going and keep going and keep going. If you've enjoyed this probably most babbly book babble I've ever done, please give this video a thumbs up, chat to me down in the comments, talk to me about the book, because undoubtedly you've all read it. And if you aren't already subscribed and you fancy subscribing, I'm always eternally grateful for that. And I will see you next time with whatever else I decide to do. Bye!